Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. This is News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. Massive landslides claim over 100 lives in the Indian state of Kerala. The situation remains grave. Casualties may increase. Calls for de-escalation grow louder as Israel and Hezbollah on the brink of an all-out war. Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, is sworn in. The 69-year-old heart surgeon pledges to promote a pragmatic foreign policy. And India gets the second medal at the Paris Olympics as Manu, Sarjit, they bag a bronze in the 10-meter air pistol mixed team event. The shooting star Manu Bhaker becomes the first athlete in independent India to win 2 medals in the same edition of the Olympics. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi told industry leaders that the speed and scale at which the union government is building infrastructure is unprecedented. The country is firmly on the path of a Viksit Bharat, or a developed India. The Prime Minister's words were echoed by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman while she made a robust defence of India's budget 2024-25 in the Lok Sabha, the lower house of India's parliament. Let's look at this report.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Journey Towards Viksit Bharat, a post-Union Budget 2024-25 conference organised by the Confederation of Indian Industry or CII in New Delhi. The Prime Minister highlighted the significant growth in the size of India's budget.
2013-14 में जब पिछली सरकार का आखिरी बजट आया था, डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के सरकार का लास्ट बजट, वो 16 लाख करोड़ रुपए का था, 16 लाख करोड़। आज हमारी सरकार में ये बजट 3 गुना बढ़कर 48 लाख करोड़ रुपया पहुंच गया है।
Capital expenditure has grown from 90,000 crore rupees or around $10.84 billion in 2004 to over 11 lakh crore rupees, around $133 billion today. That's a 5-fold plus increase.
2014 में यूपीए सरकार का 10वां वर्ष था। अपने कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर का बजट 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए, 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए तक पहुंचा पाई थी, और आज कैपेक्स 11 लाख करोड़ रुपए से भी ज्यादा है।
The Indian Prime Minister emphasized that these record increases have come across sectors and were achieved despite significant tax reductions. In the Lok Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman robustly defended the allocations in the 2024-25 budget. She criticized the opposition's stance as misleading and emphasized the significant central funding allocated to projects in states governed by opposition parties.
PM Mitra Textile Park went to Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Telangana. Have they not received monies for that? Railways, West Bengal, Jharkhand and Bihar, multi-tracking of Son, Nagar and Andal. And there is no vanchana to any state. Nobody is being denied any money. So, India's first.
The Finance Minister sharply criticized the economic management of the previous UPA government, pointing out the record high inflation during that period.
Growth, employment, welfare spending, capital investments and fiscal consolidation. These are the factors which we've tried balancing in the budget. We are taking a whole of nation approach and now seeking to make sure that we fulfill the aspirations of our people.
The FM emphasized the fiscal prudence maintained by the Modi-led NDA government, which has been a constant priority. She described the budget as a transparent document that clearly outlines all government spending across various sectors. With Mark Lynn, Gautam Roy, DD India.
Landslides in India's Kerala killed over 100 people after torrential rain caused hillsides to collapse. The situation remains dire, with casualties expected to rise. Rescue operations have saved over 100 people, with support from the National Disaster Response Force, helicopters and army units. Army engineers too are rebuilding a vital bridge. National and international leaders have expressed grief over the loss of lives in this massive landslide in Kerala's Wayanad district.
Landslides swept through tea estates and villages in southern India's Kerala on Tuesday, killing over 100 people. Heavy rain caused hillsides to collapse, triggering torrents of mud, water and tumbling boulders, resulting in landslides. The situation remains very grave and casualties may increase. The hillsides gave way after midnight following a torrential rainfall on Monday in the Wayanad district of Kerala, a state renowned as one of India's most popular tourist destinations. Most of the victims were tea estate workers and their families who were asleep in makeshift shelters. A prompt rescue operation was launched and over 100 people were rescued. They are receiving treatment in various hospitals. 2 teams from the NDRF, 2 helicopters and 4 columns of the army were deployed to assist the State Disaster Management Authority in carrying out search and rescue operations.
When this information was received about the landslide in Wayanad district, we already had a team in Wayanad district for the pre-monsoon deployment. This team was immediately rushed to the spot and it started its rescue.
Nearly 350 families lived in the affected region, mostly involved in tea and cardamom estates. As of now, 250 people have been rescued. Army engineers were deployed to help build a replacement bridge, and the one linking the affected area to the nearest town of Churalmala was destroyed.
The NDRF teams are deployed at various locations where the landslide has occurred in Wayanad, and even in Kozhikode there was suspected a landslide. And maybe our team is also deployed in Kozhikode for further case or any case of contingencies and other things.
Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan took stock of the situation with officials and reviewed the search and rescue operations. The Chief Minister has announced that the State Health Department has opened a control room. Those in need of emergency assistance can contact authorities on helpline numbers 9656938689 and 808-601-0833. India's President, Vice President and Prime Minister have expressed grief over the loss of lives in the massive landslides in Wayanad. PM Modi spoke with Kerala Chief Minister Vijayan and assured all possible help from the centre in light of the prevailing situation. The Prime Minister's office has announced compensation of 2 lakh rupees for the families of those killed in the calamity. Those injured will receive 50,000 rupees. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar expressed deep anguish over the loss of lives.
Our thoughts in bipartisan matter are with those who have lost their lives, and if they are injured, we wish them speedy recovery. It is a situation where the entire nation has reason to give relief to the people concerned.
The Tamil Nadu government announced a 5 crore rupee package for the relief and rescue operation. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin assured that the Tamil Nadu government will provide all necessary assistance. Amid the calamity, Kerala is bracing for more rain as the Weather Office has issued a red alert for 8 districts: Idukki, Thrissur, Palakkad, Malappuram, Kozhikode, Wayanad, Kannur and Kasaragod. 4 districts, Pathanamthitta, Alappuzha, Kottayam and Ernakulam are under an orange alert. The landslides are the worst disaster to hit Kerala since 2018, when deadly floods killed more than 400 people. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, nature's fury is being seen in extreme forms in different parts of the world these days. Floods, forest blazes, extreme heat. While several parts of India, Pakistan, Ethiopia and Sudan are bearing the brunt of deluge and floods, Ladakh, known as the cold desert of India, is facing extreme heat. On the other hand, forest fires are raging in Albania and in Greece. Here's a report on climate change and nature's fury across the globe as the earth calls out for urgent attention from all stakeholders.
In India, heavy showers lashed several parts of Gujarat on Monday, causing massive waterlogging. Commuters face trouble due to traffic disruption from rains. More than 2,500 people were shifted out of their homes as several villages were inundated due to heavy rains in South Gujarat. In Maharashtra, the flood situation in Sangli district is under control. The rain has taken a break. On the other hand, Ladakh in India is experiencing a spike in temperatures. On Sunday, the temperature soared to a record high of 39.9 degrees Celsius at village nearby Leh. And flights scheduled in and out of Leh and Ladakh were cancelled due to an extreme spike in temperatures. The flights were cancelled because they were incapable of operating due to a reduction in air density in the region. Rains and floods have also wreaked havoc in Pakistan. 11 people sleeping in the basement of their house drowned to death after rainwater flooded the building in Pakistan's Kohat district early Tuesday. Torrential rainfall has continued across Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province for several days, causing heavy devastation and urban flooding in various parts of the province. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Management Authority has issued a severe weather alert for multiple regions in Pakistan, forecasting heavy rains over the next 3 days. Meanwhile, bodies continued to be recovered in Ethiopia's Gofa zone on Monday, nearly 10 days after a landslide buried and killed hundreds of people. In Sudan, thousands of people are stranded on the streets of eastern city of Kassala as the deluge of rain compounds the suffering of more than 1 million Sudanese who sought refuge in the region from a 15-month-old war. Millions of people are at risk of waterborne diseases across large areas of the country. Albania is facing the fury of the nature in the form of forest blazes. Areas close to coastal town of Sengzin are bearing the brunt of forest fire. Authorities evacuated inhabitants of these areas as firefighters and soldiers battle spreading forest blazes overnight on Tuesday. Greece is also facing the brunt of forest fire, which rages at the second largest Greek island of Euboea. Firefighters and volunteers are battling hard to control it due to strong winds. The Euboea blaze is just one of over 50 fires that have broken out across Greece in the past 24 hours. Wildfires in Greece have become more frequent in recent years during increasingly hot, dry summers that scientists link to climate change. Bureau Report, DD India.
Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Venezuela's opposition take to the streets. They don't accept Maduro's third term. They say the election was rigged. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky inspects fortifications at northwestern border with Belarus. And the Kremlin rejects accusation that it's trying to meddle in US presidential election.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Reformist Masood Pezeshkian was sworn in on Tuesday as the Islamic Republic's 9th president in Parliament at a ceremony attended by foreign dignitaries. The event marked a new chapter for Iran as Masood Pezeshkian took oath of office, assuming the role of the country's president. He had won the July 5 runoff election, defeating Saeed Jalili, a former chief nuclear negotiator. Iraq's Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani and Tajikistan's President Emomali Rakhmon joined Pezeshkian at the ceremony. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei formally endorsed Pezeshkian as the country's president on Sunday. Pezeshkian, a moderate, is taking office at a time of escalating East-West tensions over the Israel-Hamas conflict in Gaza, as well as Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. India's Road and Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari attended the swearing-in ceremony of the Iranian President Pezeshkian. In fact, Gadkari conveyed good wishes from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to President Pezeshkian on his assuming office. During his meeting, Nitin Gadkari had interactions in Iran, and both sides positively assessed the state of bilateral relations, including cooperation on development of Chabahar port. Both sides underscored that Chabahar port would contribute to strengthening bilateral and regional trade. It would provide access to landlocked Afghanistan and Central Asian countries to regional as well as global markets. Venezuela is in the grip of turmoil as protests have erupted nationwide following the official announcement that President Nicolas Maduro has won the presidential election. The opposition alleges widespread fraud, and their supporters have begun widespread demonstrations. The situation is fluid, and we continue to monitor it. Here's the status report in this evolving story.
Protests erupted across Venezuela following the official announcement of election results, which declared President Nicolas Maduro as winner in the presidential election. In Caracas, demonstrators took to the streets, setting up barricades and blocking roads. Opposition alleged widespread fraud.
I came to the street. We want freedom. We are tired of this government. We want a change. We want to be free in Venezuela. We want our families to return here.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged political leaders to remain calm and resolve any disputes peacefully.
The Secretary General calls for complete transparency and encourages the timely publication of the election results and a breakdown by polling stations. The Secretary General trusts that all electoral disputes will be addressed and resolved peacefully and calls on all Venezuelan political leaders and their supporters for moderation.
Amid these protests, President Nicolas Maduro stressed that his government is fully equipped to handle the unrest and maintain order.
We have been following all the acts of violence promoted by the extreme right. I can tell the people of Venezuela that if they have done harm, we are acting. We already know this movie. So once more, along with the civil, military and police union, we are acting. We already know how they operate.
9 Latin American leaders expressed serious concerns and are calling for a comprehensive review of the election results to ensure their integrity. Meanwhile, Panama has decided to halt diplomatic relations with Venezuela and is withdrawing its diplomatic staff until a thorough review of the election is completed.
The government of Panama announces the withdrawal of diplomatic personnel from Venezuela and puts diplomatic relations on hold until a complete review of the minutes and the computer system of the vote count is carried out, which will allow us to know the genuine will of the people.
Meanwhile, echoing a different line, Russia has urged the Venezuelan opposition to accept the election outcome and extend congratulations to President Maduro. While calls for transparency and a review of the election results grow louder, the situation on the ground remains tense. With bureau inputs, Shagnik Chakraborty, DD India.
And DD India's Mary Trini Meena now joins us live from Caracas with an update. Mary, does Maduro have the backing of the army and the law enforcement authorities?
Yeah, so far the Ministry of Defense of Venezuela has pledged loyalty to Nicolas Maduro. They say a coup d'etat is on the way in Venezuela. Is the position of the government right now, saying that they are legitimate, they have the votes and they were legitimate elected on Sunday. But since we got the results on Sunday, it's been changing the situation. It's been escalating rapidly with demonstrations across the country in the streets, as the report show, with people saying that the results that were provided on Sunday by the electoral board that is controlled by the government is not accurate, and they insist on doing demonstrations. As a matter of fact, today we are expecting demonstrations from both sides. The government says they will be on the streets defending their victory, and on the other side the opposition will be also demonstrated in the streets of Caracas and other places across Venezuela.
Mary, how does the opposition plan to take their case forward? What's their next course of action?
Well, they are calling for international organizations and the international community in general to be part of this situation. They are showing to the world that they have the proof that, according to them, Edmundo Gonzalez, his candidate, won the election. They are releasing all the tallies in a website where people, Venezuelans inside Venezuela, can check if the votes correspond or are the same that they have. They say they have the right to claim the victory of the election, and they are showing international governments that in order to get their support. The other thing that they are planning is to be in the streets. They have a congregation today, as I said, and basically the opposition is saying that the election needs to be recounted. This is part of the efforts that also neighboring countries like Brazil and Colombia are doing, calling for the government to show the proof, is if they have it, of the winning of Nicolás Maduro. So it's a complex situation in Venezuela with broken relationships with other countries and countries around the world not recognizing the results.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Mary Trini Mina, for joining us with that crucial update. Although tensions between Israel and Lebanese group Hezbollah are high, international efforts are also underway for de-escalation and to avert a wide-scale conflict. The U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that he would like to see things resolved in a diplomatic manner. And he also said that he did not believe a fight was inevitable between Hezbollah and Israel. The Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni too has expressed concern over the risk of a regional escalation.
Amid concerns over a wider regional conflict, calls grew louder on Tuesday to prevent an escalation as Israel weighs its response to a rocket attack blamed on Lebanon-based group Hezbollah that killed 12 youths in the Israel-controlled Golan Heights. U.S. Defense Secretary said on Tuesday he did not believe a fight was inevitable between Hezbollah and Israel, though he remained concerned about the potential for escalation. His remarks came at a press conference in Manila. Austin said, and I quote, "While we've seen a lot of activity on Israel's northern border, we remain concerned about the potential of this escalating into a full-blown fight. And I don't believe that a fight is inevitable. We'd like to see things resolved in a diplomatic fashion." While Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni called on Israel not to fall into the trap of retaliation, saying she was very, very worried by the risk of a regional escalation.
Every time we seem to be a little bit closer to possibility of a ceasefire, something happens. It means there are different regional players aiming for escalation and always aiming to force Israel to react. I also say this to urge Israel not to fall into this trap.
On the other hand, Hamas's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, met Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian in Tehran on Tuesday ahead of his inauguration. Earlier, Pezeshkian also met with the leaders of Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Lebanon's Hezbollah in Tehran before his inauguration ceremony on Tuesday. In Gaza, thousands of Palestinians returned to their homes in the southern city of Khan Yunis on Tuesday after Israeli forces withdrew from the area. Israeli military said its forces killed more than 150 Palestinian gunmen during the week-long raid and destroyed militant tunnels and seized weapons. Tensions worsened since Saturday when a rocket killed 12 children and teenagers at a football pitch in a Druze village. Israel accused the Iran-backed Hezbollah and vowed a harsh response. Hezbollah has denied involvement. Bureau Report, DD India.
And DD India correspondent Sarah Kotz now joins us live from Tel Aviv with an update. Sarah, with world leaders urging de-escalation, What's the position of the Israeli government on the Lebanese front?
Hello there, Mark. We have been hearing from Israeli leaders saying that there will be a harsh response to Saturday afternoon's attack in the Golan Heights, which killed 12 children playing football. Now, what we are seeing right now is the Israeli government under increasing pressure to really restore the security situation in Israel's north. There was another incident just a few hours ago, a man in his 30s dying from shrapnel wounds sustained by a barrage of some 10 rockets that were sent over from southern Lebanon into Israeli territory. So certainly a lot of pressure on the Netanyahu government, not just to restore that security situation, but also to be able to bring more than 60,000 internally displaced Israelis back home. Really what these people want is these Hezbollah fighters pushed north back behind the Litani River, which would create a sort of buffer zone to enable these people to come back to these northern areas. But as you mentioned in that report, fears are really growing here on the ground of an all-out escalation, and really what this could potentially hinge on is Israel's retaliation to that Saturday attack I was just speaking about, and what that actually looks like, Mark.
Sarah, also, what's the update on the Gaza front, after Israeli troops moved out of Khan Yunis?
Yeah, well, that was after a more than week-long operation in the second largest city in Gaza. The Israeli military says that during that operation it killed some 150 Palestinian fighters, gunmen, it says, also dismantling a number of Hamas tunnels and seizing quite a large number of weapons. Now, we do have pictures coming in from the ground showing thousands of people trying to return to their homes in Khan Yunis, but what we are seeing is a lot of destruction. And according to Gaza's civil defense agency, more than 300 people were killed in that operation, although that number has not been verified. So certainly a lot of concern also down in the south in Gaza with just so many people displaced, Mark.
Sarah Kotz in Tel Aviv, thank you very much for joining us. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky inspected lines of fortification in northwestern Volyn region next to the border with Belarus on Tuesday. Zelensky was seen walking past dugouts accompanied by military personnel. Ukraine is working round the clock to build defensive fortifications to stop Russia's troops advancing any further. Though Russia's attacks in the eastern Donetsk region remain Moscow's main offensive thrust, the forces there are focusing their heaviest assaults near Ukraine's strategic eastern city of Pokrovsk, as Moscow bears down on a key Ukrainian supply route more than 29 months since the full-scale conflict began. The Kremlin has dismissed as absurd a U.S. intelligence assertion that Russia is seeking to meddle in the U.S. presidential election. It said that the U.S. spies were intent on casting Russia as an enemy. The U.S. intelligence officials have said that Russia is seeking to influence the November 5 election and that Moscow has used Russia-based influence for hire companies to shape U.S. public opinion. Britain's government on Tuesday set out mandatory housing targets for councils in England with a view to delivering 1.5 million more homes before the next election, and said that it would consult on an overhaul of the planning system. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has made reforms to planning a key plank of his plans to reinvigorate Britain's growth after Labour won the elections on July 4. And his government has said the country needs to build more homes. The Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, said that the government would aim for 370,000 new houses to be built each year, up from the current target of 300,000, as she outlined plans she acknowledged would be controversial but were necessary. The government is aiming to build 1.5 million houses during this parliamentary term, which ends in August 2029. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, met with the Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister, Lee Hsien Loong, on Tuesday after a meeting with the Vietnamese President Tholam. During this visit, Borrell said that the European Union wanted to guarantee peace in the South China Sea and told Vietnam that the bloc would help boost its maritime security and cybersecurity capabilities. In a meeting with Vietnam's Foreign Minister Bhutan Son in Hanoi, Borrell said that the 27-country bloc, that's the EU, had a direct interest in maintaining peace and stability in the South China Sea, where over a third of EU's imports and more than 20% of its exports transit. In Bangladesh, the government is poised to ban the Jamaat-e-Islami and its student wing, Islami Chhatra Shibir, through an executive order by Wednesday, according to Law Minister Anisul Haq. He plans to meet with the Home Minister to finalize the process. Minister Haq also noted that Jamaat-e-Islami and Islami Chhatra Shibir, they have been implicated in conspiracy and violent activities. This announcement follows a unanimous recommendation by the Awami League-led 14-party alliance to impose the ban. Let's take a look now at other stories making news from around the world. Elon Musk's SpaceX is in talks with the US and Australian officials to land and recover one of its Starship rockets off Australia's coast. This is considered as a major expansion step by SpaceX in the region as both countries strengthen security ties in a bid to counter China. Sotheby's is holding a sports-themed auction, Altitude Capsule Collection in New York. The auction is displaying 23 items of famous athletes, including Diego Maradona, his jersey from the 1986 World Cup, Florence Griffith-Jones's running sneakers, and Rafael Nadal's tennis racket, among others. The auction will close on the 2nd of August. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. We'll be discussing the key points of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to industry leaders and the Finance Minister's reply to questions on the union budget in the Lok Sabha.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's a recap of our main stories. Massive landslides claim over 100 lives in the Indian state of Kerala. The situation remains grave. Casualties may increase. Calls for de-escalation grow louder as Israel and Hezbollah are on the brink of an all-out war. Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, is sworn in. The 69-year-old heart surgeon pledges to promote a pragmatic foreign policy. And going back to our top story, we are joined by our guest, Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, Director General of Research and Information Systems for Developing Countries, RIS, which is a New Delhi-based think tank. Thank you very much, Professor Chaturvedi. What is driving, what is the driving force of the Indian economy? Does the budget provide the right impetus for that driving force?
Thank you, Mark. And I think we have been discussing this week in terms of the strength of economy, the power it gets. And as Prime Minister today asked industry, how is the Josh? So I think the idea that has moved from sentiments to confidence that Prime Minister spoke today, I think has largely set out the way economy has evolved in last 10 years or so. And I think the speech was full with numbers which are so startling in terms of how the size of the economy, the budget has grown. And he was so emphatic in terms of pointing it out that in 2013-14, the size of the budget was just 16 lakh crores. Right. And now In 24-25, it stands at 48 lakh crores. So this marked expansion is also reflected in the priority that we see in capital expenditure, which stands at 11 lakh crores now, and it was only 4 lakh crores in 14. So this shows how the basics are clear and precise.
Indeed. Dr. Chaturvedi, 28% higher allocation for skill development. Now, put this into context for us. How long does India have this window of opportunity of demographic dividend? And how important is this in the march towards a Viksit Bharat?
Mark, if we see the demographic dividend, there are three different calculations which are available, but most of the economies are likely to have this when the average age reaches 57. And this is available to us till 2052. So that's when India's average population would cross 57. And that's when we would be falling into a completely graying economy. So it's there till 2047. So Viksit Bharat that we are talking of, India would become richer before India would get sort of gray. So from that point of view, it would be important for us to march on the path of Viksit Bharat.
Professor Chaturvedi, we are also facing an extremely harsh summer. We showed some reports about that as well. How urgent is the priority on energy transition?
That is extremely important, and I think India has already embarked on the journey. Today again in his speech, Prime Minister talked about energy transition and also about green hydrogen. Both are important in terms of how this transition happens. The fact that renewable energy, as per our goals for Agenda 2030, is moving on track. Our idea of Har Ghar Solar is something which is taking shape, and also our transition in terms of renewables running public transport is going to go far more deeper through the budgetary allocations that have been made. So a large sum of our commitments are very much on track. The idea of net zero by 2070, if that has to be turned into action, there are certain measures which are to be taken, and fortunately they have been initiated. Our idea of having a mix by 2030 of 30% renewable energy coming in our overall basket, I think we are very much on the track to achieve that mark.
Dr. Chaturvedi, what more does India need to do, to raise its share in the global economy?
See, there are multiple ways one may achieve this, but for a country like India, where we bypass the manufacturing sector and straightaway jumped into services sector, could not create the capital base that we required. And for last 10 years, consistent effort to focus on capital expenditure for infrastructure, capital expenditure for climate resilient cities and urban spaces, all-weather roads and rural areas. So the first and foremost task before us is to expand and continue to expand capital expenditure. At this point, India is already contributing 16% to the global GDP. We need to expand that. CapEx would be the best way to focus on in terms of how we create that base for expansion of manufacturing sector. And manufacturing expansion, the 14 sector focus of PLI is one way, but we need to see how manufacturing share of India should go forward.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi. Thank you for enlightening us on various aspects of the Indian economy. Now, moving on Tuesday, the chairperson of the Securities and Exchange Board of India, Madhubhi Puri Bhuch, launched a report on the Indian capital markets, transformative shifts achieved through technology and reforms. She also, in fact, unveiled India's first website for passive funds at the NSE. At the launch, the Sebi chairperson credited the transformation and growth of India's capital markets to a collective vision for a resilient, progressive and tech-driven ecosystem that offers access, information and protection for investors. The website provides in-depth information and aggregate industry data, fund-wise data, screens for selecting funds based on various parameters such as underlying index, AUM, tracking error, among others.
For the stock market as well, right now already we have a certain automatic pop-up which comes when investor goes and selects a particular stock or symbol. Then certain surveillance related facts and figures of that stock are displayed as a pop-up. We are looking to enrich that, and I think there are 6 or 7 additional fields which we believe are valuable fields for the investor to be able to make up his mind about whether he should proceed with that transaction. So the qualified stockbrokers, which as you know cover about 70% of all retail investors, they would be mandated to display that enriched pop-up so that further information, both in terms of the facts and market metrics like price to earnings ratio, etc., is displayed to them.
India's Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan launched the National Apprenticeship Training Scheme NATS 2.0 portal and released 100 crores as a stipend through direct benefit transfer in New Delhi on Tuesday. This scheme, it aims to democratize apprenticeship, bridge skill gaps, fulfill youth aspirations, as well as make them future ready. Addressing the launch event, Dharmendra Pradhan said that the platform is helping students to enhance their skills and industry bodies to get man-powered. Well, the Education Minister urged industry bodies and education institutions to come forward and join the portal.
It's a proud moment for all of us.
हमें एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी स्किल्स बढ़ानी है. नैट्स एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी स्किल बढ़ाने के लिए एक इनोवेटिव इंस्ट्रूमेंट है और इस साल इसको 8 लाख तक बढ़ाया गया है, पहुंचाया गया है और आने वाले दिनों में डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर के माध्यम से एनएसपी की प्लेटफॉर्म को यूज करते हुए इस सभी लाभार्थियों को, स्टूडेंट्स को सरकार की ओर से उच्च शिक्षा में 4,500 रुपया पर मंथ 6 महीने से लेके 1.5 साल तक उसकी जो स्किल की रिक्वायरमेंट है उस हिसाब से उसको दिया जाएगा.
Still to come here on DD India News Hour, we bring you all the updates from the Paris Olympics, where the Indian hockey team has beaten Ireland in a group encounter to keep medal hopes alive. This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris, and DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory, and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama, and the triumphs. With exclusive reports, expert analysis, and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris. Only on DD India. Every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. And now let's get you all the sports news. First, news from the Olympics. Well, news from the Paris Olympics, and the Indian star shooter Manu Bhaker and Sarjit Singh. What did they do? They bagged India's second bronze medal in the 10-meter air pistol mixed team event, defeating South Korea 16-10. And with this, Bhaker has become the first athlete in the history of independent India to win 2 medals in the same Olympics.
Indian shooters Manu Bhaker and Sarjit Singh scripted history with a bronze medal in the 10-meter air pistol mixed team shooting event at the Paris 2024 Olympics. This was India's 6th Olympic medal in shooting and first ever in a shooting team event. The result also made Manu Bhaker the first athlete of independent India to win 2 medals in one edition of the Olympics. This remarkable achievement, particularly her bronze in the 10-meter air pistol, made her the first Indian woman to win an Olympic shooting medal. Bhaker's triumph was even sweeter given the disappointment she faced with a malfunctioning pistol at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The support from Khelo India and tops played a crucial role in her Paris success. Following the duo's victory, celebrations started at their residence. Speaking on the victory, their family and friends expressed gratitude.
उत्साह देख रहा हूँ ना, तो वैसे ही लग रहा है कि आप लोग जितने जोश में हो, खुश हो, मैं भी बहुत खुश हूँ। पूरे देशवासियों के लिए बहुत बड़ी खुशखबरी है और इसके लिए इस मौके पे मैं सभी देशवासियों का धन्यवाद करता हूँ जिन्होंने इतना प्यार और आशीर्वाद दिया और मनु को टफ टाइम में हेल्प किया।
आज बहुत खुशी हुई जी, ओलंपिक का मेडल बेटे ने कढ़िया जी। जिला वाले वासियों को बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ जी, दीन गाँव को बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ जी। मेरे गाँव के सरपंच सतविंदर सिंह बब्बू जी, जरनैल सिंह सरपंच, नवनीत सिंह सरपंच, उन्होंने बहुत बहुत मुबारक।
Born in Jhajjar, Haryana, Manu dabbled in various sports like boxing, tennis and skating before finding her true calling in shooting. Manu's international debut came in 2017 and she quickly made a mark. At the 2018 Youth Olympic Games, she won gold in the 10-meter air pistol, becoming the first Indian to achieve this feat. She has since bagged multiple medals at ISSF World Cup events in both individual and mixed team categories. On the other hand, this is Sarabjot Singh's first Olympic medal. Earlier, he missed out on a podium finish competing in the men's individual event. Sarabjot has been a Khelo India athlete since 2019 and has participated in 4 Khelo India Games as well as is a target Olympic podium scheme athlete. With this feat, 2 of India's 6 Olympic medals in shooting have now come at Paris 2024. The only other time Indian shooters won 2 medals in shooting at a single edition of the Olympics was in London 2012. Naran Singh's report, DD India, Paris.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Sarabjit Singh and congratulated him on winning a historic bronze medal. Let's listen.
हेलो नमस्कार सर, मैं सरजीत बात कर रहा हूँ।
सरजीत, बहुत 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 बधाई।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
आपने देश का नाम भी बड़ा किया, देश का मान भी बड़ा किया।
हाँ जी।
और आपकी मेहनत रंग लाई है।
हाँ जी सर। यस।
और मनु को भी मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत बधाई।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
और आपने ये भी आपकी डिवीजन में थोड़े से रह गए, लेकिन आपने
हाँ जी बस वो
करके दिखा दिया।
हाँ जी, 1 ही 10 से रह गया उसके अंदर में, बट कोई नहीं, नेक्स्ट ओलंपिक में और अच्छा करके जाऊँगा, उसकी तैयारी ज़्यादा अच्छी करूँगा।
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा किया है।
हाँ जी।
लेकिन आप और मनु की जो टीम इस प्रकार से परफॉर्म कर रही है,
हाँ जी,
और एक बढ़िया टीम वर्क आपने दिखाया है,
हाँ जी, हाँ जी,
उसका क्या कारण है?
उसका तो सर कुछ नहीं, बिकॉज 2019 से मतलब हम जैसे नेशनल्स में होते हैं तो उस टाइम पे भी काफ़ी अच्छी टीम होती है हमारी। हर बार मतलब नेशनल में गोल्ड लिया हमने, जैसे जूनियर वर्ल्ड कप हो गया और अदर वर्ल्ड कप्स हो गए, उसमें भी हमारे गोल्ड ही हैं ऑलमोस्ट सारे, तो काफ़ी अच्छा था एक्सपीरियंस। और नेक्स्ट टाइम होप करूँगा इससे अच्छा आपको मतलब गोल्ड लेके दिखाऊँ।
नहीं, आप करोगे, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है। आप मेहनत भी कर रहे हैं और लगन से कर रहे हैं।
यस सर।
तो मनु कहाँ बाहर गए हैं?
सर उसका भी डोप टेस्ट चल रहा है।
अच्छा।
हाँ जी।
देखिए, मनु को भी अभी 25 मीटर के लिए तैयारी करनी है।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, वो तो
उसको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देना।
यस सर, जरूर।
और फिर से आपको दोनों को बहुत बहुत बधाई मेरी तरफ से।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
और वहाँ जो हमारे सब खिलाड़ी हैं,
हाँ जी,
उनको भी मेरी तरफ से शुभकामनाएं दे देना।
यस सर, यस जरूर।
बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच। जय हिंद।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू, जय हिंद।
Well, shooter Manu Bhaker beamed with joy after securing 2 medals for India at the Paris Olympics. In an exclusive interview with the DD India correspondent Naran Singh, she shared how the philosophy of the Bhagwat Gita has profoundly influenced her both personally and professionally. She also praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his unwavering support and encouragement to athletes.
A monumental, a watershed moment in the Indian sports history. Manu Bhaker winning 2 medals in the single edition of an Olympic event. Manu, congratulations, a great achievement. And if you talk about these 2 medals, what it means to personally to you and the Indian sports fraternity, winning a 2 medal in the single edition of an event like Olympics?
So now when I look back at all the struggles, all the hard times that I went through, especially the Tokyo phase, I feel like everything was worth it. And now I have these 2 medals, these 2 beautiful piece of medals around my neck to be able to move on from that and look forward to what the future has to offer for me in the coming years.
You talked about Bhagwat Gita. You, in the previous interview, you said that before going to sleep, you are reading 2 shloks and you are also trying to understand the meaning of those shloks. So how the Bhagwat Gita has put an impact on your life as a shooter, as a player and as a person?
I think every aspect of life has a positive side and a negative side, and so does the religion. Although I'm not a huge preacher of a religion, but from my knowledge that I've gained in 22 years of life experience, is that if you follow any religion or anything, it definitely will have some good, a huge good side. You know, the Prime Minister of the country is going to talk to me, so they were so surprised, and then I got to know this doesn't really happen often in the other parts of the world. So I feel it's a great honor for me and for my country and for all the athletes from our country that the Prime Minister of the country, out of all the thousands of things that he has to do in a single day, he takes out time for us, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much, sir, for your motivational words always. Thank you.
So you're looking how confident and how composed our athletes are looking. And one more event is left for Manu Bhaker, and we're hoping that she will continue this winning trend and go 1 notch higher for India. With camera person Senthil, Naran Singh, DD India, Paris.
And Sarjit Singh also secured a bronze medal at the Paris Olympics on Tuesday, teaming up with Manu Bhaker to defeat South Korea. And in an exclusive conversation with Naran Singh, he praised the Khelo India initiative as well as the Target Olympic podium scheme, and they provided crucial support.
Second medal for India at the Paris Games, and it is in the mixed team event of the 10-meter air pistol, where Sarjit along with Manu won the medal. Sarjit, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
तो पहले ओलंपिक में मेडल, तो किस तरह से देखते हैं उपलब्धि को आप?
काफ़ी अच्छा है सर मेरे लिए, और बट जो मैं घर से डेडिकेशन वो सारा कुछ लेके आया था, उसमें अभी भी कमी रही है. कोई नहीं, नेक्स्ट टाइम और अपना बेस्ट दूंगा नेक्स्ट 28 में.
मिक्स टीम इवेंट है, तो इसमें तो कैसे तालमेल बिठाते हैं आप दोनों? बहुत शानदार आप शूटर हैं, तो तालमेल कैसे बिठाते हैं, कैसे क्या बातें होती हैं?
बातें सर इतनी होती नहीं हमारी, बस मैच से पहले यही हुआ था कि दोनों ने बस अपना बेस्ट देना है. ज़्यादा कुछ बात होती नहीं, और इतना हम मिलते भी नहीं है क्योंकि दोनों की टाइमिंग अलग अलग होती है मैचेस की. क्यों फिर रिपोर्ट करना वो मैच के टाइम पे, वो सारा कुछ अलग होता है.
क्या वजह मानते हैं कि जो शूटिंग इतना राइज कर रहा है, इंडिया को डोमिनेट कर रहा है, जो कंट्रीज डोमिनेट करते हैं उनको डोमिनेट कर रहे हैं?
जो स्कीम्स हैं अभी जो हमारे पीएम साहब ने अपना स्टार्ट किए हैं, खेलो इंडिया टॉप्स, उसके बाद डॉक्टर करने सिंह शूटिंग रेंज है, उसके अंदर भी हॉस्टल प्रोवाइड हो गया हमें. वहाँ पे भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा फैसिलिटीज़ हैं. पैलेट्स जो 10 मीटर में यूज़ होती हैं वो फ्री होगी, और सारा कुछ वहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग का सारा कुछ फ्री हो गया. मतलब काफ़ी अच्छी फैसिलिटीज़ प्रोवाइड हो रही हैं हमें यहाँ पे शूटिंग के अंदर, तो बहुत ज़्यादा.
They want to do more for the country, considering the fact that already in his first Olympics only he won a medal, but he wants to do, and also the facilities they are getting from the government side, they are excellent and they are appreciating it. With camera person Senthil, Naran Singh, DD India, Paris.
And the Indian men's hockey team cruised to a 2-0 win against Ireland in a Pool B match on Tuesday. The 3 points took India atop the Pool B standings. The record Olympic champions have played 1 game more than the other challengers. Harmanpreet Singh, India's captain, scored twice in the first half to extend his tally to 4 goals at the Paris Olympics. India were the dominant force in the first half. Despite a fight back in the second half, Ireland failed to score and challenge the Indian victory. And India's Chirag Shetty and Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy will enter the men's doubles quarterfinals as the toppers of Group C. They outclassed Fajar Alfan and Mohammad Rian of Indonesia at the Paris Olympics badminton tournament on Tuesday, the world number 3 pair. They beat the reigning All-England champions in straight games, 21-13, 21-13 in 40 minutes. Both the Indian and Indonesian pairs had already secured their progress to the quarterfinals. On the other hand, Tanishka Castro and Ashwini Ponnappa were knocked out of the women's doubles event after losing their matches in the group stage. They lost 21-15, 21-10 to Australia's Satyana Mapasa and Angela Wu to finish at the bottom, in fact, of Group C. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on our DD India app. The mobile app is available on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.